Okay, so let's start. See, in previous two classes, we have seen about TACACS and RADIUS protocols, all those stuff. Yesterday, about radius probing and all we had seen. Still, the question was what was the functional difference between the radius and TACACS? Yesterday, we started talking about it, but again, we went into a radius itself and we discussed about how to work with the radius, its port numbers, how the changes will be with the new port numbers, what will be the source port number, destination port number. All those things we started discussing yesterday, and entire class was gone in that itself. Now today again the same question, the technical difference between radius and TACACS. Okay, so see, these are few major things that you should understand. Radius combines authentication and authorization in a single process. As we understood yesterday, what are the port numbers used by Radius for authentication and authorization? 1645 and 1812. Okay. For accounting? Correct. Okay. Now, password transmitted between client and server using shared secret key and MD5 hashing, rest of all data sent in a clear text. What does this mean? Okay. See, what does this mean is, let's say I have a AAA server, ISE connecting with switch. Ishak, if you have any queries, questions, you can stop me anytime. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's say this is ISE and this is your switch. Between them, we have configured radius. Now let's say between this switch and ISE, switch and ISE, correct? Definitely, I need to configure a radius protocol. So on the switch, I need to tell details about the ISE, and on the ISE, I need to tell about the switch, right? And I have to configure a shared secret key. Shared secret key is nothing but it's a pre-shared key. So that key should match on each other, right? Now, let's say, for example, after the radius, all these things are configured, the relation has been established between these two devices. Now, there is a guy who wants to connect through a switch to a network, right? So let's say, for example, here I'm going to use a username as a admin and the password as a Cisco for authentication. And where is this username and the password present? It's present on your ISE device. So whenever I'll request this, the request has to go from where? The request has to go from the switch via radius to ISE. So when the radius has to carry this username and the password information, at that time, the username will be in a clear text. If someone is capturing a packet over here, he can see this username clearly, right? And this password will be encrypted. So this password is protected. The rest, all the informations will be in a clear text. This is what it means. After that, let's say, for example, instead of radius, what I have, TACACS. What TACACS is going to do? It will encrypt the username and a password, both, and it will verify with your eyes. So the information passing through the TACACS will be in the encrypted format for all the data, not for only the password. It will be for the username and the password as well. This is what it means, a technical difference. Okay. Encrypts all data transferred between the client and the server on a per session basis. Okay. Okay. The first comparison separates all three aspects of AAA into individual processes. Very important. If I'm doing authentication, means only authentication is happening, not the authorization. If I'm going for authorization, means okay, authentication happens along with that. After that, only the authorization can happen. It's not like you can directly authorize and then you'll do the authentication. That's not possible. You have to do authentication. So only authentication if you want to do, fine. Authorization, we can separately allow it. I mean, like we can assign it. After that, accounting. See, when you are authenticating, right, by default, you are getting some authorized. I mean, like you are getting authorized also, but that authorization does not mean that you are getting full privilege. Okay. Now, I'm getting authentication, authorization, and accounting. Accounting is nothing but it's a, what is accounting? It's auditing. You can say, let's say I want to get the information about any current session, current protocol, user authentication, all those informations. I can get it from the accounting itself. So TACACS earlier was a Cisco proprietary. It's no more Cisco proprietary. It's a TCP based. It's a TCP based connection. So definitely whenever the communication will try to happen between the switch and the ISE, there will be a three-way handshake before establishing a connection, right? And then only the radius, sorry, then only the TACACS communication will happen. But before establishing a TACACS communication, three-way handshake will be definitely there. Then TACACS communication will be there. Okay. So this is how the communication happens. So all three aspects will be done in an individual process in a case of TACACS. So these are the TACACS informations and the radius information, you can say. These are like few informations with your radius comparisons. Just for knowledge purpose, I'm telling you. Earlier, when there was a ACS in a market and there was a ICE, they used to do a comparison. See, this document was created in 2014. That time when ICE and ACS was done, I had done some comparisons over there. So I have opened my old document to show you some like history also, telling some comparisons also. That time both the devices were capable for integrating the external devices like Active Directory, LDAP, Radius, RSA tokens and all. Both were having the internal identity stores. One is ACS, another is ICE. Offers TACACS and Radius services in a single system or in one system. ACS told yes. What ICE was telling supports only Radius till version 1.4. After that, they released a 2.0 version. Like profiling, poster assessment, centralized web authentication and all. These were the new features that time. Like right now we have Easy Connect or PX Grid, dual authentication or multi authorization. I mean, like multi-factor authorization part. The new features which we have in our ICE right now were not actually present in earlier version of your ICE servers. Like TACACS was not there, but now all these features are added from 2.0 version. That time, these were the new features which were added compared to ACS, like profiling, poster assessment, centralized web authentication. These things were present in a ICE but not present in your ACS. So that was a comparison like in 2014-15 kind of stuff. Now it's a current version, we're having 3.0 version. And right now your ICE is on roadmap itself. It's not like completely okay done. Only upgrading the features, I mean like only upgrading the new versions, like fixing the patch and all. It's not like that. Like if you see ASA firewall or some other devices like WSA and all, they are not adding new features. Very few features they are adding. Okay, but they are upgrading the newer the same features with the new versions, fixing the patches and all those things they are doing. But if you compare ICE with other devices, you'll find a huge difference. It's on roadmap means new things they are adding. They keep adding right now, all these things. So might be till yesterday what wasn't possible. After a few days, ICE might say it's possible, like RADIUS and TACACS, right, and many other things. Recently, they had announced a new things. I'll tell you about the new features also. Okay, in the next class. I had seen like most awaited type of configuration. Like for .1x, we go for the interface configurations and all, right? Without interface .1x configurations also, we can go for a .1x authentication. Such type of some informations I had read. Okay. Okay. Last time I told you guys, we authenticate through wired connection. In a wired connection, we can go with a .1x that can be EP over LAN or can be MAV. Okay. Now can be wireless, right? In a wireless, I can go with a .1x. It can be EP over LAN or can be MAV, or I can go with the VPN that can be SSL or IPsec. Last time in your examination, both of these VPNs were there in version 5.
SSL, IPsec, and AnyConnect. And
Okay. In SSL and IPsec, in SSL, they had told to configure or to authenticate with the local database. There was no ICE integration. But in IPsec, they had given the ICE integration. VPN users should authenticate with the ICE users. Such type of, the task was given.
so then VPN tasks, there are multiple tasks with VPN only.
Correct. If you see, it's not only a VPN task. In a VPN, they have included ICE also. Right. When ICE users are authenticating through the VPN technology, so VPN, how to allow the VPN policy or how to create a custom VPN policies. Let's say on ICE, you'll have a default policy, default authentication policy that will allow all the types of connections. Either it is SSH or VPN or .1x or MAP. It will allow all the types of authentications. But in examination, what will happen, that a default authentication policy which you have on ICE, that will be disabled. That will be configured with a deny. So what happens? Anything that you want to do, like I want to go with the wired connection, wired related policy, they will be deleting. You'll go for map related policies, they'll be deleting. And last policy will be there as a default policy that allows every connections. Even that default policy, they will configure with the action as a deny. So basically in ICE, you'll have three types of authentication policies. Remember, in ICE, If you talk about authentication, or if I say default authentication policy, you'll have three types. One you'll find for the .1x. Second, you will find for map. In .1x, you will find for both the methods, wired or with OR condition. This condition matters, guys. OR condition, wired or wireless. In a map also, you will find wired and wireless. Okay. And the third policy was there for default. Default means any, okay, any communication that does not match above. Means anything that does not match above policy will be allowed by whom? Default. Means, let's say if there is a VPN traffic, VPN authentication, is there a VPN related policy? No. I have a .1 action map related policy. For VPN, I don't have a policy. So anything not matching here, their default policy will allow to do authentication. Right. Is there any SSH related policies? No. In examination, what they will do, they will delete these two policies. They'll delete it. This was by default present on your ISE, but they will delete it in examination. And this default policy, which is allowing all the types of traffics, they will define the action as a deny. So any type of authentication you try to do, it will match the default policy, right? And it will deny the packet. So no authentication happening. If no authentication, no authorization. So you are not authenticated. In that case, what to do? You have to create all the authentication policies user defined, custom. In that case, you should know how to create those authentication policy for VPN, like virtual access. Type should be virtual. So how to allow and how to create such type of access you have to do. In a real time also, it can be like this. Just to deny any other accesses, they might define default with a deny. And for each and every type of authentications, they might have created their custom policies. Okay. So this is very important. See, overall ISE is related with your policies. If you understand how to create a policy, it can be for .1x, it can be for map, it can be for anything. So here in your examination, you have to create a custom policy for .1x, map, VPN, SSH, all those stuff. Right. In this policy, the major thing what you have to understand is and condition or condition. These are two conditions. Now, what do you understand by and what do you understand by or?
Both. If there are two, and means both. If it is or one.
Okay, let me understand you. Let's say I attached a group as a admin and I said wired .1x. I defined here as a and condition. What is there? And condition. It means the user should belong to admin group and it should come from the wired authentication. Then only the authorization will become, or the authentication will become success. Authentication and authorization both will become success. Okay. If user is admin from the admin group, but he is coming with the wireless, then what will happen? Your authentication will not happen. But if your condition is like this, username is admin and connecting method is wired or wireless, then what will happen now? What do you mean by or? Or conditions can be with anything. First thing, it will match that admin group should be mandatory. Either it is either admin group is coming with a wired or wireless, it will accept it. Okay, I cannot say .1x and wireless. I mean, like I cannot say wired and wireless. I mean, like I cannot say wired and wireless. One guy cannot come from two methods like wired and wireless also at a time. This can't be there. So like that, you have to think possible things like conditions with and or condition. Okay. So all these things, whatever we have discussed till now, we'll see practically. Like we discussed about default authentication policies, we discussed about default authorization policies. I haven't written here some authorization policies, but I'll tell you. Some default authorization policies will be there. After that, network administration policies will be different. Device administration policies will be different. Always understand your ISE will have two different types of policy sets. One policy set will be for network network administration policy set. Okay, and other will have device administration policy sets. So you'll have two types of policy sets on your ISE. So we have to see these things. That's why from beginning I'm telling you guys, see ISE in two perspectives, device and network administration. Then you'll get a clear picture. Okay. So guys, today onwards we are starting a lab also. Okay, theoretically we discussed many things. Let's see the lab also now. I'll create a topology and you guys need to take a note. Now 95% of labs can be done on EV-NG. I'll recommend you guys to do labs on EV-NG only right now. Now what can't be done? Why 5%? Because I need to work with AP and WLC. AP is not virtualized right currently on EV-NG. So I need a AP physical. WLC we have a virtual. It can be simulated. But AP we don't have. So this AP and WLC labs I'll show you with a physical device, physical AP, virtual WLC. But I'll give you a solution. You can simulate it on virtual platform also. But yeah, AP also and WLC also. Right. But that time you cannot integrate ISE. You'll only work with AP and WLC. You can play with that. Okay. Initially, How to do the configuration of a WLC will not show you in a packet tracer. See, I'm using packet tracer. Packet tracer, current packet tracer is very advanced. In that, they have given you WLC, AP and all. You can connect it and you can work like a real-time scenario. But in that, you cannot configure WLC from beginning. You cannot configure AP from beginning. It's like pre-configured stuff. But you need to know WLC and AP from scratch. Like how do I configure any WLC from beginning? How to configure any AP from beginning, right? If in examination you have any issues with AP or WLC, then how would you control that? So all those things we'll see with AP and a WLC. After that, I'll show you AP with ISE, how to do the profiling for the AP. Default profiling for AP will not be there. Not for all the model numbers. For few model numbers, we have a default profiling, but let's say the model number which we are currently using, for that, a default profiling is not there. So how can you do a custom profiling for a Cisco AP? And how can you control your AP through your ISE? So I want my AP to be connected to this particular VLAN. So how can I control the access points? Those things also we'll see. Authentication based work on PK or PSK. See, it depends. We can go with the PKI also, we can go with the PSK also. Both are available.
Sir, I just want to ask you something.
Yeah,
You're talking about the default authentication policy, right? We have default three, like .1x, map, and default.
correct.
So yesterday you were talking about a concept called Easy Connect. So where exactly this is gonna come?
Concept called
Easy Connect.
Easy.
Easy Connect.
Yeah.
Easy Connect, see, Easy Connect will by default come under the default itself. See, any policies for which we don't have any type of the rule, authentication rules, or the policies that I'm talking about, for that, what is going to work? Default.
Okay.
Any
So, but whatever is not coming under .1x and map will come under default.
correct. So there is a default policy. This a default policy is designed in such a way. It's like any. You can assume it like any.
Hmm.
IP
Uh,
any. Hmm.
okay. So one more question. Yesterday, like we were talking that one machine can have multiple network adapters, and then he can authenticate, right?
Correct.
So just now we discussed about the condition and or.
Mm-hmm.
There we have mentioned the .1x and wired connection or
Mm-hmm.
a wireless connection, right? So if I have an Ethernet adapter, I mean wired and a wireless LAN, so
Mm-hmm.
can't I authenticate myself through two adapters
You
using
can
.1x?
authenticate, but for see, ICE does not understand that your PC is having a two adapters. ICE is understanding how that two from two MAC addresses or two different adapters the requests are coming. Okay, for your mindset, it is that I have connected both the adapters in my single PC, but ICE does not look in that way, right? What ICE looks is my connection is coming through one as a wireless, another as a wired connection, like that.
Okay. So
Okay.
basically, it will accept because I have two different MAC addresses.
Hmm. See, if you
So
have a two different MAC addresses and if you want to authenticate with the ICE, then depends like how your policy is configured. Let's say you should have a wired connection and a wireless connection both, right? One PC itself, let's say .1x connected with a wired or wireless. So what is the condition given here? Or no matter you are connecting through the wired connection or through the wireless connection, your
mm,
your ICE is going to accept it. Okay.
mm, right, sir.
I
So one
cannot
more
say
last.
and here. I can say
Yeah,
and here. Yeah.
I understand. Last question. .1x is using a protocol called EAP, right? So
Correct.
that E protocol is like encrypted. We can dissect the packet and see what is inside there, or is it clear text or encrypted?
No, it's not clear text. It's encrypted. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir. Thanks.
Okay. So we'll see all these practicals. We'll create our one new topology. Okay. Now here, first of all, I'm going to take one switch. This will be my LAN switch. And in this LAN switch, I'm going to connect one ISE. Okay. Will I have one? Let me connect in different way. I have a management VLAN. Okay. In management VLAN, I have multiple devices.
Yes, access.
Can be anything. In my management VLAN, I have ISE, I have AP, sorry, I have AD, I have candidate PC, I have a candidate PC. This candidate PC is nothing but it's a management PC. In examination, they will give a term as a candidate PC. So do not confuse with like candidate means some candidate. Don't think like that. Okay. And here I'm going to assign IP address as a .130. Active Directory IP will be .75. Candidate PC IP will be 104. Now on this LAN switch, I'll be having a connection of internal network, LAN network, you can say. Okay. I have a LAN network. Let's say this is my management itself, or you can say like, okay, this is management with the subnet 10.11.11.0/24. Okay, management subnet, which belongs to group as a admin. Okay, I have one more group here as a cells, and in the cells group I have a connection of one router. This is a router connection. This is my R2 router connected. This belongs to 172.16.20.0/24 subnet, and my group is cells. IP address dot 2 from this respective subnet. Remember, this switch I'm going to configure it as a L3 switch. It will not be L2 switch. So from this particular subnet, I'm going to configure the interface here as a .15 as a interface on the switch. For cells also, I am going to take .15 as an IP address, right? And this will be connected to my gateway. Who is my gateway? ASA. I'm having ASA firewall as a gateway. What's an IP address here? Let's say this IP belongs to, or you can say this is management VLAN, and management is also acting like my inside network. Okay. So here I'm going to take .10 as a gateway. This is my gateway. So all the traffic's coming like this. Okay. Now I might have a requirement of ISE connecting to the external devices also. Possible. Now I'm connecting to external network. Somewhere on the internet. This is ISP connection. This will be my outside. And this is my, this complete, I'll assume it is a part of inside. This is completely a part of inside. In inside, I'm having management cells. Okay. Now, this is inside interface G0 by 0. And this is G0 by 1. And somewhere in my inside network, I'm sorry, at the outside network, I'm having one host. Here I'll have one host. This will be for VPN connectivity, guys. Later on, I'll integrate the ISE with the VPN traffic, right? IPsec or SSL, any type of VPN we are going to configure, and we are going to see how to integrate the ISE. For that, I need a remote PC. So the outside subnet will keep it as a 172.16.3.0/24. Here I'll configure .10 as an IP, and here I'll configure, this is my client PC, so I'll configure .5 as an IP, and this is my client PC. In my management zone or in my inside zone, I'll have one, in a management section, I'll have one router also. That will be my web router, you can say, or web PC, you can say. Don't say web PC, say web server. Okay. Here I'm going to have one router connection also. Let's say this is my R1. This will act like a web server. Here I'll configure IP address as a .1. So this is my current topology. And now in my internal network, I'll have a guest connection. Guest will be connecting. Okay. So I have a guest connecting here. So my guest will be connecting through I have a guest section, right? Two interfaces are there. Okay. And both belongs to my guest belongs to these two interfaces belongs to guest and both should belong to VLAN 50. This belongs to group guests. This belongs to group guests and guest belongs to VLAN 50. Sales belongs to VLAN 20. Management belongs to VLAN 10. Right. So like that we have the VLAN details. Okay. And my guest subnet is 150.1 dot sorry is 10.50.50.0/24. Okay. And the interface from the guest VLAN also I'll have one guest VLAN or guest VLAN interface, right? So my interface IP address will be dot 15. When I have three different subnets, you can see 1, 2, 3 different subnets belonging to my inside network. It means I need to create 3 interface VLAN interfaces. So like VLAN 50 interface, VLAN 20 interface, and VLAN 10 interface. So from each VLAN, I need dot 15, dot 15, dot 15 as an interface IP. Okay. And we'll configure this switch as a L3 switch. But for this management, I want to keep a gateway as a ASA. I don't want to give a gateway as a switch. It's up to me. Okay, it's up to me. For R2, I'll give a gateway as a dot 15 because it's an indirectly connected subnet, right? I cannot give a subnet as a this and gateway as a this IP. So if I have to communicate from this subnet to other subnet, definitely I have to give a default route towards the dot 15. So like that for guest it will be, and for cells. Now it's a locally connected. This management is a locally connected. So both the IP addresses belongs to same subnet. So I can configure any one of these as a gateway, does not matter. Now, under the guest, I'll have two different types of authentications. I'll have one PC here, which will be trying to connect it through this will come for dot 1x. This is coming through wired dot 1x. Wired dot 1x, right? And another guest will be connecting No, this will be MAB, wired MAB. This is your MAB PC. And at the last, we'll see one more condition. Okay. Let me take like one more interface. There will be one more interface. This interface will be connecting to non-configurable switch. This is non-configurable switch. This switch is configurable switch, and this switch is non-configurable switch, in which how many ports we have? 8 ports or 4 ports. And here I am connecting 2 different PCs. On this switch, I am connecting 2 different PCs. If you know all these tasks properly, 90% of your task will be done according to your examination. This is .1x and this is MAP. Now you know what is happening? Wired and wired means both are wired only. Both are wired. Now you can say two authentications happening at a time, wired and wireless also at a single switch interface. These conditions will also be there. Okay. This part will be for your any connect VPN. Okay. And at outside, I'll have one DNS server. This is my external DNS server. One I have internal DNS server. Okay. So we'll have such type of topologies, guys.
So the internal means the AD is acting as a DNS.
Correct.
Okay.
Internally, I can take only, okay, we'll have AD and DNS, both will be required because we have to see redundancy also. While doing a redundancy, I'll definitely need AD and DNS both. Okay. And here I need only a DNS server to resolve the public domain name. Okay. So here, whatever the interface IP which I have, that has to be resolved by this DNS server, right? To connect through any connect. Because in examination, you will be given as a task wherein your DNS server should resolve a domain name. And one more thing I can do according to examination. In examination, what they will do, you know, they will have only one Active Directory server and only one DNS server. What they will do, in this PC, they will add one more adapter. And this adapter will be connected where? management zone, right? Which will help you to resolve the IP address or to talk with the DNS. So that we'll see later on. Right now, I want to put another separate DNS, which is going to resolve your domain name of the outside interface, right? So it's like a global DNS server. I don't want to connect with any connect directly with the interface IP, because in that case, your IPsec protocol will be using. Here, with any connect, will be using a protocol called as a IPsec. With IPsec IC version 2 should be there, not IC version 1. So to get this output, I will definitely need one DNS server, okay, to get the exact output, what is in your examination and what issues you will face, how to resolve it, each and every conditions I'm going to deal with this. So that whenever you guys will get the task in an examination, I don't think you will say no in any conditions. Hook or by hook
Sir,
or
sir, can you mention the VLAN and the network address for this wired dual authentication segment?
okay. So here at a time only one VLAN can be there. Okay. Now let's say by default it will also come under the guest VLAN also, VLAN only. This will also come under the guest VLAN 50 only.
Okay. Mm.
Okay. Later on, what will happen? This .1x and map belongs to same VLAN. This .1x and map will belong to, let's say, they are actually a guy who wants to be in a VLAN 10. They want to get connected to VLAN 10. My .1x and map, after the authentication and authorization, they want to be a part of VLAN 10. Or let's say they want to be a part of VLAN 20. Let's make it as a 20. They want to be a part of VLAN 20 after the authentication and authorization. Initially, they are a part of VLAN 50. But after authentication and authorization, these guys should be a part of VLAN 20. ISE should give them a tag as a VLAN 20. So what will happen? This VLAN 20 will be overridden at this particular interface. It will be overriding the static VLAN configuration. It will configure a dynamic VLAN. So once this interface is overridden with the dynamic VLAN, then both the pieces will come under the same VLAN. Don't configure like this interface with a VLAN 20 and this interface with a VLAN 50 or VLAN 10 or something like that. Don't do like that. So whoever does the authentication first will have their tag there. Now let's say VLAN 20 got authenticated first. It downloaded the VLAN tagging from the ISE as a 20. Again, you did the authentication of a map. Here we had a VLAN tag of 10. So it's already having a VLAN tag downloadable, the dynamic VLAN tag as a 10 itself. So it will not give a priority to the other VLAN again. So in an examination also, you won't get the scenario like in a same interface, in a same interface of the switch wherein two authentications are there, they won't tell you that they belong to the different VLANs. They'll tell you that both belongs to same VLAN after the authentication and authorization. But a static VLAN will be something different. That will be a guest VLAN itself. After the authentication and the authorization, these guys should belong to their respective VLANs, like that. Any questions, guys?
So what is the purpose of adding the non-configurable switch there?
Because if I configure a configurable switch there, then again, between these two switches, how will you send a request to a real switch for a .1x and a map? This switch, non-configurable switch, is acting just like a connector over here, a bridge device. Okay, it's not going to take a .1x request here and this .1x request to be forwarded here. It won't be like that. Okay, and this can be possible only with the non-configurable switch, not with the configurable switch. Okay.
So the .1x authentication will happen at the link connecting between the non-configurable switch and the configurable switch.
Yes. So this non-configurable switch, I'll not be connecting with anything. I mean, like any type of things I don't have to do. I'll just connect to one switch, non-configurable switch here, and this will help me to have the multiple adapters. That's it.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Hari, related to wireless, will do related to wireless also. But after completing all this, after that I'll have the wireless class. For that, I'll create a separate topology. Okay.
Fantastic topology, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Today we'll end our class till here only. Hmm?
Yeah.
In this, almost I have given you all the solutions. Okay. Wired solution also, in a wired map solution also, single authentication, dual authentication, VPN solution, everything I have given you in a single topology. Okay. After that, we'll have a wireless. In a wireless, again, we'll go for how do I configure through the wireless authentication? How do you control that wireless access through WLC? All those things will have a separate topology.
So your deployment of this topology is on EXXI or ISE. I mean ISE.
See, your EVNG is present on ESXi or VMware. I don't care about that. Okay. What I care is I'll work on EVNG. Now your EVNG is present on ESXi or VMware. That's not the concern one. Okay.
Yeah, well, you use the EV image, right? ISE.
Yes, I'll be using EV.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. See you guys.
Thanks, sir.